Are we rolling? Let's check and see. Gotta make sure we're rolling. It looks like we're rolling. Oh well, I'll need some practice. Hello folks, my name is Edward King, and this is the House of Prayer. I was just playing my harmonica here. I actually play this song wonderfully, but I'm a little rusty and I lost cue, and I jumped into it with both feet there, ready to play Jesus Loves Me, and found out I was rusty. I lurched. Oh well, God bless you. For those of you who are not familiar with my non-video audio presentations, essentially that is what they are. They're not really meant to be video. I just hang the camera up here and I go into the woods where I pray for the souls of loved ones and other people who have given me prayer requests. I pray for them. And sometimes my list gets pretty long, but God bless you, and thank you for listening to me. And today, I was actually going to elaborate a little bit more on the subject of biblical polygamy, and maybe I'll touch on that just for a moment, but there's something else that's even more pressing that I'd like to discuss. Biblical polygamy is a subject that I could spend hours, weeks, months on. In fact, I have. In fact, I'm writing a book that I hope will come out soon covering this subject. But that's the main crux of it. All our morality is based on the Old Testament law. Okay, things that are right in the sight of God and things that are not right in the sight of God. I want to make that very clear, because what a lot of Bible thumpers and people who maybe even they are Christians, I don't know, but people who profess to be Christians seem to forget is what determines what is right in the sight of God and what determines what is wrong in the sight of God is the Old Testament law, okay? And this is from whence we receive our 10 Commandments. And I think that any blood-bought, born-again believer knows that if you really are saved by and delivered by the power of the blood, they know that you don't stop observing those commandments that God gave to the 12 tribes of Israel concerning morality. In other words, I'm talking about God's moral law. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, honor thy father and thy mother. I don't think these things actually change. In fact, those who have been liberated by the law of love know that those things are fulfilled that much more in Christ. And so before anyone goes around criticizing other people because they uphold the biblical practice of polygamy, I would say that they need to look to the law and understand that this is moral. If you can practice polygamy in love, emphasis on love here, because all things should be done in accordance with God's commandments in a spirit of love, okay? Because those who are freed from the law of sin and death, which is a different law, by the way, okay, those who are delivered from that law are now under the law of love. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clear, that there are many laws. There's also the laws, the carnal laws of our flesh, which tend to get us in trouble from time to time. But I digress just slightly here. I just want to make it absolutely clear that no blood-bought, born-again Christian should ever condemn any man for upholding biblical polygamy. It's biblical, folks. God blessed it. In many cases, God ordained it. We just have to look to the examples of Jacob, Elkanah, and Hannah. There are so many examples of polygamy being blessed in the Bible. And I know that some people will say, oh, yes, but look at how those marriages worked. Well, some of those marriages worked very well, thank you, especially compared to the marriages we have today. And look at how some of those assumed monogamous marriages turned out. You see, you can't blame it on polygamy. It's marriage, and marriage is something the devil wants to mess up no matter what it is. Okay? I mean, you know, people, I see them praising this woman by the name of Rebecca in the Bible, that deceitful, lying wife, Rebecca, who set Jacob up so that Israel, that polygamous man, could be established. Now that's the facts, folks. It's the truth. Rebecca was a lying, deceitful wife. Who knows? She probably cheated on her husband for all we know. We don't know. Okay? We don't know. That's my point. And so to assume that all these relationships were monogamous, I think it's a grievous error. But yes, I do digress. The thing that really presses on me more, though, and I'd like to get into polygamy again, you know, biblical polygamy at another time. The thing that I'd like to actually elaborate more is something called generalizations, because the subject of generalization, this keeps cropping up. I see it everywhere on my Facebook, in conversations with people on the street. You know, it's in the media, it's in our newspapers. It's you know, people are going around, you know, saying avoid generalizations and whatnot. Listen. There's some points I'd like to make about generalizations, okay? For example, let's take something really wild. Let's take something, you know, really extreme. Men are dogs. How many of you would agree that men are dogs? I mean, you know, morally, maybe even spiritually, you know. I would say that men are dogs. Men are dogs. And I would say that until which time they come to God and get right in the sight of God, they're dogs. Every single man is a dog. Okay? Now, you might not agree with me on this view, but I've been around the block a few times. I've met people from all walks of life. You know, I've been all over the continent of North America, and you know, here and there in places, and you know, from my findings, I would conclude that yeah, until you get right with God, you're a dog. If you are a full-grown man, you're a dog. You may not realize it yet, but you're a dog. Men are dogs. Okay. Now, I'm supposing that maybe a good majority of the ladies would agree with me until I flip the tables on them and say, well, women are female dogs. And you know what they call female dogs, right? The two-legged variety, right? I don't have to elaborate on that. But yes, it does apply. It does apply in this world of equality. It certainly applies. Most women are this way. And so if I say women are female dogs, am I lying? I don't think so. I would say that with respect to generalities, if the majority applies, the generalization is true. The generalization holds true. See, I'm not talking about the exception. You know, we can find exceptions for everything. But when these statements are made, they are true statements. Now, here's the point. Here's the error that people make with generalizations. Somehow, unconsciously, and you know, I don't know how this works. I should move away from the camera because I noticed in my last presentation I was a little distorted. I was over amping the microphone on the camera, and it's because of the change in the barometric pressure in the air, because in the summertime I don't have a problem with this. I can talk near the camera. That's my guess anyway. Yes, back to the subject. You know, they somehow, and I've done this, and I've straightened myself out on this, and I think most people make this error. When they hear a generalization, they place the word all, A-L-L, in front of the sentence. So it translates in their brains, all men are dogs. It translates in their brains, all women are, cough, female dogs. Okay, that's how it translates. But that's not what the statement declared. The statement says, men are dogs. I stand by that statement, by the way. I stand by that statement 100%. Men are dogs, okay? And here's the other one. Women are female dogs. I kind of make it a little bit more concise at times, but women are female dogs. I do not put the word A-L-L in front of that because I know there are exceptions. But if the majority of men are dogs, and I believe the majority of men are dogs, okay, then the statement holds true. And if the majority of women are female dogs, right? Well, there you go. If the shoe fits, wear it. That's the old saying. You know, if the shoe fits, wear it. Well, people, wear it. Okay? Get over getting all hung up on generalizations. There is a place for generalizations. And, you know, in the face of a minority, in the face of the exception, I think the generalization will stand. So, you know, there was something I kind of bumped into recently here on the internet. Let's see if I can remember what it's called. Pardon me for a moment. I am fighting another kind of fall cold here. My nose is dripping and everything. NAWALT, is it called? NAWALT. Not all women are like that. And why the NAWALT movement is losing its strength. It's losing its strength because just because not all women are like that does not mean that the majority of women are not like that. And I would go so far as to say that the majority of women, a very good, strong majority, at least probably about 80% of women are like this. They use men. They use men to their own end, and they use men up. Okay? And you know, God help them, because it's their own desperation that drives them to be that way. You've just got to pity them, you know. But that is the case. But you know, be careful at the point of pity, that you do not embrace it. Okay, that you do not embrace this practice of women using men up. But generally, women do and will use up a man. And when she is done with him, she will spit him out. Okay? That is the general practice. Okay? So I can make the statement, women use men up. Okay? Now notice I did not say all women use men up. I stated women use men up. That's a true statement. I've seen it all my life. I've seen it all my life. Women use up men. And that's probably why Solomon gave that warning to the young women, you know, don't give your strength to women. Okay? Or was that a woman actually warning her own son? I'll have to check out that one. I think it might be a woman warning her son, her young son, oh, Lemuel. I think that may be in there. Do not give your strength to women. But don't quote me on it. But you might want to look it up yourself. You know, Lemuel. You can do a Bible search on that. What am I saying? I'm just saying that, you know, I see a lot of people getting all up in arms about generalizations, and there is a place for generalizations. So the next time you run into a generalization, ask yourself, does this hold true for the majority of people described here in this sentence? It doesn't matter, male or female. Does this hold true for the majority? If the answer is yes, then the generalization stands. Don't attack it. There's a place for it. And I guess that's all I really wanted to say about this subject, you know. But yeah, you know, because I do understand that generalizations can be dangerous. If you're going to use generalizations in an essay, for example, you probably do well to come up with some stats, you know, to support your statement, some good factual material, because otherwise, you know, anybody can generalize about anything, whether or not it is true. But some things are just no-brainers. I mean, you know, it's like me saying, people have 2 feet. Is that a true statement? Do people have 2 feet? Well, yes, because most people have 2 feet. Okay, yes, there are exceptions, all right? But I'm not saying there are no exceptions. I'm just saying people have 2 feet. People have 2 feet. Do you see how that works? I'm not saying all people have 2 feet. Now, if I said all people, that would be a false statement. Not all people have 2 feet. Some people are born with no feet. Some people have accidents, you know, and lose a foot. Okay? Some people are born with 3 feet. Anyway, I'm sure some of you get this, but or most of you should get this by now. That's about all I wanted to say with respect to generalizations. But my goodness, you know, I'm running into this all the time with loved ones and all sorts of people, all getting all up in arms. You know, that's a generalization. How dare you say that? You know, listen, brothers and sisters, there is a place for generalizations. God bless you. God bless you.